What's going on, Crystal Palace fans? Welcome to another edition of the Palace News Show. I'm your man T. I'm joined by none other than Mr. AJ. What's up, baby? What's going on?
Not too bad, not too bad. Enjoying the British weather, man. 1 minute
Uh,
it's sunny, 1 minute it's pissing down with rain. There's just no in between, bro. There's no in between. Like I'm leaving
yeah,
my house in the morning with like a hoodie and sunglasses on. It's crazy.
you don't know what to prepare for, man. It's just crazy all the time, huh?
Yeah, British weather is real, man. The stereotype of British weather is real. Trust me, it's crazy out here. But other than that, man, I'm living life, man. I'm good. I'm in a happy place.
Right on, man. Well, hey, shout out to everybody that's tuning in. That's gonna be rocking with us today. First and foremost, we want to say for anybody that's tuning in, taking part, we always want you to like, comment, and subscribe down below. It means a lot to us. It means a great deal to the channel for everything we do as far as the algorithm is concerned. Now we got three topics that we're gonna be discussing today. Some pretty interesting ones, I think, as well. But starting out, the first topic is that we have news about none other than Marc Guehi. I feel like Guehi's been a topic of conversation a lot recently, but it is understood that Palace will demand a minimum of $50 million for £50 million for Marc Guehi. He's attracting interest from a number of Premier League sides, and that also includes Tottenham, Arsenal, and Man United among them. That are monitoring him, and that story comes from the Mail Online. So, 50 million minimum for Marc Guehi. AJ, just give me your initial thoughts on that amount.
I think I've got quite a few things to say on this one, but I think he's severe based on today's defender and how much they cost and what they contribute.
Mm-hmm.
He's clearly undervalued. Now I don't know who's leaking it. I don't know who's starting these rumors, and obviously, he is our top defender, and he's probably in the calling for Player of the Year. He's now an England international. His ceiling is essentially limitless, and I'm not silly. I'm fully aware that one day he could move on to a bigger club. I don't think that time should be now. But if it is, you got to pay more than £50 million, man. Come on. I mean, Fofana cost that much money.
He costs
Maguire,
more than that, I think.
no, he costs more than that if you add up all the add-ons and stuff.
Yeah.
Then you got to consider the likes of Harry Maguire. He cost £80 million.
80 million when he left Leicester.
So this is the situation. If it's going to be a kiss chase thing throughout the summer, then we got to demand top dollar for him. Essentially, we got to get record-breaking funds for him, because I cannot, hand on heart, believe we're in a position where we have to sell. I'm still sure he's got another 2 or 3 years. No, he's probably got another 3 or 4 years left on his contract.
Yep.
He seems happy enough. I mean, for me, he essentially will be the first team captain going into next season, or at least I hope. I think a bit of common sense has to be here, man. And I have to be a bit reasonable, and we have to play hardball on this one. All right, now it's speculation, and naturally, with the season winding down and summer coming in, that speculation is going to naturally rise, and there's going to be loads of players talked about, especially the ones that are stand-up performers. We bought him in at a decent price, at a reasonable price. 20 plus million.
Mm-hmm.
He's gone on to do some amazing things since he's been here, and he just keeps on jumping on leaps and bounds. There's no way you can justify to me in today's market he is £50 million. £50 million should be half the fee based on today's. And listen, you got to add the English tax to it as well. So, I mean, if you want to take away essentially our best centre back, or more importantly, one of our best players and potentially our club captain,
Mm-hmm.
pay it. And if you ain't going to pay it, jog on. Like, that's the way I look at it.
Yeah, I mean, there's certain factors that really come into it that made me think that 50 million isn't even worthy of a baseline, just because of the fact that, number one, like you said, prior to being with Palace, he wasn't an English international on the first team. So he became a first team England international with us. He became a Premier League captain on a significant basis with us. You know what I'm saying? Those type of, and from what we talk about all the time when it comes to talk about Premier League transfers, is the fact that English talent goes for a premium, goes at a premium. So just factoring in those things, outside the fact that he is a very, very good center back and he's young, those three factors right there command an absolute premium when it comes to the price alone. I mean, me and D chatted about this a little bit, and like, I'm forever going to use Harry Maguire as the baseline because you'd be silly not to. His move to Man United reset the market for what you pay for center backs. It's just the reality of it. People might not like that, but that's just the truth. And if you have me being honest, I think he's better than Harry Maguire was before his big move. So
Agreed.
with that
100%.
with that being said, back the Brinks truck up. Let's get this money. You know what I'm saying?
That's it, man.
That's just how I feel about that.
I mean, another way of looking at it. Sorry, T.
No, go ahead,
Wan-Bissaka. Best example. If we're going to go in recent history and play Palace, we're not renowned for selling our players for vast sums of money. It's just never really been our thing, at least in Premier League history.
Right.
But there's a caveat to that. Wan-Bissaka, we sold to Manchester United for £50 million. Now, in all fairness, Wan-Bissaka only had one realistic full season.
Yep.
And he wasn't even near the England squad at that point.
Yep.
And we raked up £50 million for him.
Wasn't near the England squad, wasn't the captain. This is now 2
You need to double it at least.
This is now 2 full years of major contribution for a Premier League side in the starting 11 for Guehi. You know what I'm saying? And then don't forget to factor in the fact that apparently from what's being reported, Chelsea has a 20% sell-on clause. So with that being said, if we only sell them for $50 million, that means we only bring back in 40 from that sale. That piece alone would deter me from selling him for $50 million. Flat out. Because because if we sell Marc Guehi, he should be the record-setting transaction for player selling for our club. He should by far be the record.
I think the only unless there's something they're not telling us and we need the money to kind of reinvest into the team, that's the only way you can justify it to me. That's the only way you can justify any other reason. I'm telling you, if Marc Guehi gets sold for £50 million in the summer, Palace fans will riot, and I'll be one of them for sure.
Yeah, because I feel like
man.
I feel like we sold low because, like I said, we got 50 for Wan-Bissaka. To sell him for 50 and only reap 40 of that, I feel like we sold low and we didn't get true value.
It'd be stupid. It'd be very, very silly. But at the same time, there just seems to be so many reports. I mean, who's a genuine journalist nowadays? But there seems to be more and more reports I'm seeing on social media every day. Like when I first looked at it, you know, when you just sort of see something and you almost just dismiss it instantly, you kind of just look at it like, oh, whatever. I won't even click on the comments. I won't even click on the article. But it's now becoming a little bit of a momentum.
By the Sun.
Well, we don't buy the Sun down here, mate. You know what I mean? Some of the neighbors might do, but that's a different conversation. But in all fairness, nah. If somebody said, oh, Marc Guehi linked with £100 million, then I'll be like, yeah, now we're talking. That is my personal value in it. Obviously, it's down to the club, and I know there's a lot of Palace fans out here that will tell you the same scenario that we had with Wilf, that we essentially held out for him for too long. But at the end of the day, it's what the player is valued and what we value him at, not the buying club and not the media. I've even seen a couple of accounts talking about, oh, well, we can buy Guehi and put him on the bench. Are you insane? If Marc Guehi leaves Crystal Palace, he's going for first team football at a higher club. He's not going to go and leave what he's got here to go and sit on Tottenham, Arsenal, Chelsea, Man United, or whoever's bench. And I would even debate that he should be starting over a lot of those top 6 centre-backs. Not that he's particularly better, but he should start for a lot of those clubs.
Arguably, yes. Absolutely.
And I would debate, if a big 6 team comes calling, I know what kind of money you deal in and how you break record transfers for mediocre players. So when you're talking about a top player for us, show me the money.
Yep. 100%. I mean, and like I said, I mean, with the inflated culture of player transfers that modern football has gotten to, I feel like it's just business and financial suicide to let a guy of that caliber of talent go for that low of a dollar amount. I mean,
I'll put it this way: if Marc Guehi was still at Chelsea and he was playing essentially, let's pretend in a hypothetical, he was playing at Chelsea week in, week out, like he plays for us, and he had then broken into the England team and was having the kind of performance he would, how much do you think, I don't know, a Real Madrid or somebody would have to come and pay for it?
120, 140 million, easily.
Thank you. So don't try and lowball us because we're little Crystal Palace.
Don't lowball us because of who we are. No way. Talent is talent.
Nah, man.
Talent is
we
talent.
know our worth. We know our worth, and I'd like to think that historically, with players like Zaha, I'd even say with Balassi, actually. I remember losing Balassi, and that was quite heartbreaking at the time. But you got to consider he was a player that had sort of lost interest. His head was elsewhere. The writing was a little bit on the wall. And we actually got a half-decent price for him.
Yep.
I think it was like 25 or 30 million we got for him.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to kind of, you know what I mean, put on our big boy pants here. And if you do want to buy him, and you are serious about him, pay the money or keep it moving, and he'll stay with us. Right. It's just not, for starters, it's just not the right time for me for him to move on. But if he has to, pay the money. Simple.
Yep, very simple. So moving on to our second topic. And this one actually has been reported in multiple places. I've seen it reported, but the one that we're going to highlight here, the topic is Crystal Palace are reportedly keeping tabs on Valencia midfielder Yunus Musah and also goalkeeper Georgi Mamadoushvili. I believe I pronounced that correctly. The Eagles are believed to be tracking the La Liga pair ahead of next transfer window this summer. Eldest Mark claimed that Musah, who has both players actually, Mamadoushvili and Musah, have 100 million euro release clauses written to their contracts. But Musah in particular has his contract running until 2026. It's also rumored that West Ham as well as Leicester City have been very, very keen on Yunus Musah, and those three clubs, including us. So of those three clubs, we've been there pretty much every single week scouting him recently. So sounds like we have a lot of interest with him, along with West Ham and Leicester. How much do you know about Musah? Have you followed him? What are your thoughts on him?
Listen, bring me Musah. Let me tell you something, bro. You know when you just like imagine a player, you buy him on FIFA, you buy him on Football Manager, you watch him on YouTube all the time, you're watching La Liga, and listen, that is a player I want, like hand on the heart.
Yep.
If we could get him and we can get him for a decent price, I'm delighted. That's a stellar signing. I'd take him over Lerma, you know.
Yep.
And here's the interesting scenario around that. It's well documented that Valencia are financially in disarray.
Yep.
Now it's well documented that even La Liga as a whole,
and they're on the verge of relegation.
Exactly. There's one relegation player I'll take all day, mate. Musah in our midfield.
Man,
he's got the London connection because it's he was in Arsenal's academy. He was raised in London as well. So you know, for him to adapt to the Premier League, I don't think he'd have that much of a problem. He's so strong, powerful on the ball. I guess I'm not going to compare him to Doucouré. That's not quite what I'm after. He
has better attacking.
He's got more flexibility. Yeah, I mean, he can come and he can attack. He can score a goal. He's got a powerful shot. He can create an assist. He can break into people. He can literally snap people in half. He would be one of the perfect signings. Hell, I would even go on record to say if we got him as our only midfield option in the summer, and we just brought other players around the squad, I'd be nice. I would be so nice.
If he was the only midfielder that we bought, and then we maybe gave one of our younger midfielders a spot and a chance to, you know, get into the first team, I'd be perfectly fine with that. You know, first of all, I get it. You know, he's a U.S. international, and I know how some people act around that topic. That's all we're gonna say. But hey, even though he was born in the U.S. and he plays for the U.S., he was raised in London. So,
well, debatable, isn't it? Some people catch on to players faster than others.
Yeah, you know, exactly. But he's I mean, when you think about the type of midfielder that you want in that midfield three with such a great fit and with a dominant central defensive midfielder in Czech Decore, and then just a dynamic advanced midfielder in the Eze. You want that guy that can break up play, work hard, be box to box, play a great ball, play with the ball at his feet, have a shot on goal. Like I feel like he's really one of the prototypical types of guys that you would want to slide in. I feel like he would slide in perfectly in that midfield role between those two, if I'm being quite honest with you. Plus, he's young. I think he's only, what, 20, 21?
Yeah, he's just the perfect candidate, mate. Source FC. Source FC, we rise again. Let me tell you something. Oh, do you know what, right? I would be so gassed if we got him. I'd be so gassed if we got him. Like, bro, you wouldn't be able to take a grin off my face for at least a week, man. He would just be so good because you'd have Decore doing his defensive work. You'd have Musah just destroying it in the midfield. And then obviously you'd have Eze in front of him with creativeness, like Elise and whatever we've got up front. Oh my days! Listen, he suits the brief. That's what it is.
I want to get the chat's opinion on this. So chat. So in the chat, let me get a W. Let me get a dub for Musah or an L. If it's bringing in Yunus Musah, is it a dub or is it an L? Let me see.
Forget that. Put hashtag bring me Musah. That's it.
Musah.
That's my guy, mate. Trust me.
Mitch says, if we're competing against West Ham, the big question is if they win Conference League and get Europa League next year, they will be hard to compete against for pool.
It's fair.
True. But at the same time, the one thing we also have to think about is playing time. Because you think about somebody like Flynn Downs. Flynn Downs went to West Ham, chose them over us, and hardly ever played. You know what I'm saying?
Plus, boys, it's West Ham.
Now, Yunus Musah is 3 to 4 times the player that Flynn Downs was, or ever will be, truthfully. But the thing is, Musah's coming from a place where he's played a lot of minutes, a lot of games. I think he's already at over 100 appearances for Valencia since 2019. So he's played a lot of first team ball. So I don't think he's going to go somewhere where he's not getting the assurances that he's going to get a lot of play time, even at his young age, because of the fact that he's a huge part of his club right now and the minutes he plays, and he's a huge part of his national setup. So I don't think he's going to want to be in any situation that could jeopardize his national status too, because he starts week in and week out for the US. Between him, McKinney, and Adams, like that's our midfield three, like 95% of the time. So I don't think he's going to want to go anywhere where his play time might decrease, and it's going to affect how often he makes appearances for the US too. So but it looks like we got a lot of people saying bring me Musah.
Yes. We push the narrative every time, people. This is what I love to see. Community.
My man Monty said Wolf's gonna stay. Hey, I hope so.
It would be nice. Be nice.
Will gave it 6 dubs. W.
It's either that or he's gonna Google him and he slipped on his keyboard, mate, like, as he was typing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So Luke says, really and truthfully, who our next manager? So signing speculations are not relevant now.
Yes and no.
Yes and exactly. Yes and no, because there are certain players that will fit any system.
There's that, but what you want to do is we don't want to fall into the trap of going through another Vieira scenario. It worked the first time around, but there's only so many times you can do that. And yes, we're not like a Chelsea where we buy the players and suck it. This is what you've got to work with. But what you've got to understand is there's different scenarios with that. Musah is a very experienced young man. He's played in America. He's played in England. He's also played in Spain. The kid's not going to be able. The kid will be able to adapt himself.
It's not like he hasn't played academy ball in England prior to.
Exactly, and also depending on what kind of farce, and this is me just preparing people for the worst. We potentially could have one of those merry-go-rounds where by the time the manager comes in, preseason's already 2 weeks in. So what you want to do is make sure you've got fresh faces in that squad and give this new manager some selection choices. Because despite whoever's going to be our manager, who is or is not going to be our manager, or whatever's going on with the management scenario, we need to have a squad ready, or at least on the cusp of being ready to kind of go into a preseason and get prepared for whatever we encounter in the pending season beforehand. So, yeah, man. Plus, man, it's Musah. Just get him. I don't care.
And then plus,
I don't care who the manager is.
Especially because come June 30th, we have a lot of guys are out of contract.
True.
So and God forbid that the managerial selection chase goes deep into the summer like that. You know, I'd hate for us to be still looking for a manager around the times that we got contracts expiring. But regardless of all that, it's going to be important for us to start the reload and start us bringing guys in prior to losing some of these guys. You know what I mean? Because it's going to be a significant amount of players that we're losing come June 30th. So, you know, at least going after guys that have a lot of versatility as far as systematically, tactically will be smart because, you know, like you said, when the gaffer comes in, then at least he has the ability to discern who can do what and where they can do it for him. So
it's true. And one other factor you've got to consider is other teams around us are already starting to purchase and get players put in place for next season as well. You know, Brighton have made moves. We know a few other clubs in the Premier League have made. Chelsea have made moves as well, since they're kind of our mid-table rivals nowadays. So, you know, loads of other clubs are making moves and making their plans already for the summer. We cannot afford to fall behind the pack and then start panicking and buying whatever, because people at that point will know you're desperate, they'll know you're keen, you end up overpaying, you end up buying in the wrong players, or maybe not getting the number one target you got. I'd rather do that than, you know, I would rather get in those players and potentially a few 1 or 2 new faces here and there, and let the manager worry about that after. Because there's no way you can tell me a Musah is not going to start ahead of a Luca or a MacArthur as it stands right now. Or even a Will Hughes. Sorry, you know, I love Will Hughes, but that's another comment. You know, it's an example. If you give a manager a better players to work with in terms of their same existing abilities they've got now, then it's a no-brainer. And Mitch, is it Mitch? Mitch, just to tackle your point, they're not going to win this Conference League, bro. That's not happening.
I mean, and the thing about it, in particular to this comment, West Ham has never had an issue spending money.
True. That's very true.
So Conference League or not, they're going to spend money. I mean, they're a bigger club. They have financial backing. They're going to spend money. We know that. We've seen that. So I don't think that's the place that I would really be worried with. I mean, because especially once they sell Declan Rice, you know, it's going to be a lot of money come in.
But then the thing is, it's not guaranteed they're going to sell Declan Rice because of the price they're demanding. Same with Guehi. At the end of the day, if West Ham have turned around and told everyone you can have him, but A, you got to be a Champions League club, and B, you got to be spending 120 million. Straight away, that takes Chelsea out of the equation. You've got to look at the clubs like Man City. Are Arsenal going to spend 120 million pounds on one player? Unlikely. Man City are renowned for spending money, but they're not renowned for breaking transfer records. That's just not their thing. They buy, like, instead of buying a 150 million pound player, they buy 50 million pounds here, 40 million pound player here, 50. They don't go out and spend that kind of money. So don't bank on that. That is a lot of hypotheticals. But I mean, as you drive a fair point, I mean, I'm not worried about Leicester in the race. They're too busy worrying about whether they're going to be Premier League or not. And I think that squad is going to be stripped. Relegation or not, that Leicester squad is going to be stripped. They're going to lose Maddison. They're probably going to lose Tielemans. Vardy's going to be essentially legs burnt out at this point. You know, you got to box clever a little bit, man. You got to be a little bit ambitious once in a while. And Musah is one player that, as you can tell by the way me and T are behaving, is one player that really excites me. Oh man, that would be one that would get me excited for next season for sure.
Yeah, but I agree, Mitch. Yes, of course. I think right now, above all, the manager is the priority right now for sure. Mike says Wolf was never going anywhere. I don't know, Mike. I don't know. We still don't have any guarantees yet, man.
I mean, I know we'll probably do a Wilf vid at some point. But I've got sort of factors in my mind as to why I don't think he'll leave. But nothing in football's a sure thing, and nothing in football surprises me anymore. So the whole Will thing, I just can't even think about it. Like I don't even think about it anymore. If he leaves, he leaves. If he stays, he stays. There's a lot of turmoil up in the air and all the rest of it as well.
You'll kill
What's that?
yourself. You'll kill
You're
yourself.
playing, playing absolutely AJ. Do we have a great backup? Luke Plange, Raksaki, Ozo can proper improve over this period. Right, I'm going to tell you what. So what we got, Luke Plange, not good enough. Raksaki, untested. Ozo, might be. Who are the other names on there? Jaden Raymond, too young and too small.
And Scott Banks.
Yeah, Jaden Raymond, too small. Scott Banks, also not good enough. And I've got a reasoning behind all those players because I've kind of looked at a lot of those players. I've watched a lot of their highlights as well. Scott Banks doesn't even start week in, week out for Bradford. Raksaki tore it up at League One level. Luke Plange gets 5-minute substitute appearances for
is he at Luton?
Oh, where is he? No, it's not Luton. It's Lincoln. Sorry,
Lincoln.
Jaden Raymond is one player that really excites me, but I think he's a bit too young and maybe just a little bit too small.
He needs time.
I would love to see some Raymond and Mooney appearances next season, even if they were just substitute appearances or League Cup appearances and stuff like that, because those players really excite me. You've got a lot of young talent there as well. Ozo looks like he's built for this. I would love to see him in a preseason with the first team.
Between him and Killian Phillips, they're the ones I hope get the chance to break into the first team next year.
Put it this way, I'm 6 foot tall. I'm 6 foot tall, and Ozo probably makes me look tiny. Like unit, like athlete, proper athlete.
Big kid, and he's only 17.
Yeah, Killian Phillips is one I really like. I've been mouthing off about him since preseason. To be fair, I think Killian Phillips is a good quality. Whether he can make the transition into Premier League week in, week out, hard to tell.
He looked good in the preseason for us, though.
He looked great in the Premier League Cup. He was very, very impressive, to be honest. You got Abue. He went on loan to Hull. That didn't work. So, and also that also falls into the conversation of what does the new manager want? Will the new manager have a philosophy of bringing through kids? Yeah. Because not every manager does that. And if they might even look at their kids and just be like, nah, like you just don't know. So that kind of brings that manager to the conversation, because as much as you want to sell him the narrative and the dream that we've got exciting youth talent here, he might walk into one training session, set up a certain style of play, and these youth players may not be able to do it and cope.
Because that's one of those things too. Like, if people talk about the discussion of us keeping Roy for next year. If we keep Roy, you're probably not going to see none of those youth guys come through.
Roy barely ever uses kids unless it's an absolute mandatory.
And I know there might be that kind of argument of, Roy brought in Wan-Bissaka. Roy was forced to play Aaron Wan-Bissaka.
Yeah, no choice. Wan-Bissaka is what they call an anomaly. He is an anomaly.
And they're like, he brought in Tyreek Mitchell. He was forced to play Tyreek Mitchell because PVA got hurt.
Yeah.
So yes, technically, was he the manager that played on that those young guys got their debut under? Yes. But had it not been for extenuating circumstances of injuries, those guys probably would have never saw the pitch against him.
Yeah, I mean, also, we've been a bit naughty. Obviously, there's the goalkeeper from Valencia. Is it Valencia that we mentioned?
Mamadou.
I can't pronounce it. Now, I've been hearing a lot of talk about getting Soria from Getafe.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's the one that I'm quite interested in, but I'm not too sure about this other one.
He is older. He is on the verge of 30. I know that. He'll be free, but I know he's on the verge of 30. But it seems like
goalkeeper, you can still get a good 5-10 years out of him.
I'm just wondering, like, with the way that we've been looking and the way that the team is kind of transitioning into the policies of younger players, does that extend to the goalkeeper position? Because like you said, goalkeepers play longer. We all know that goalkeepers have a longer lifespan than outfield players in the game of football. So it makes me wonder if we'll see any transitions to younger goalkeepers as well, with the way we've been changing up our transfer policies.
It's funny because I think that's one of the only positions on the pitch where I think we're all right in.
Yeah, I
still have enough faith in Guaita. I really like what I've been seeing of Johnson.
Mhm.
The Butland situation's up in the air. Let's just pretend. Let's just take him out of the equation. But
Yeah, because he's free.
that is another option.
His contract's about to expire. So
Yeah, but you never know with football, man.
ooh, they might extend him and move him. Yeah,
Might extend him and sell him. Might extend him and give him a chance.
it gives
Once
him
again,
more
depending on
value.
the next manager.
If we re-sign him, give him a little bit of money. That
But
gives
then
him
once
more
again, it
value.
falls under the next manager. The next manager might turn around and bloody have coached Jack Butland and the England under 21s and just be like, yeah, this is my guy.
Facts.
You've also got Whitworth. I think there's definitely there's a goalkeeper in there in the future.
Goodman.
And I really like the look of Goodman as well, man.
Mm-hmm.
Bloody hell, he looks like another one. So I'm not. Goalkeepers aren't really my concern. I mean, sake of argument, out of those other two that have been mentioned, I haven't seen a lot of them, but I would prefer Soria out of the two. But then, even if we bought Soria tomorrow, is he starting over Johnson for me? Is he starting over Guaita for me? That's a long-term development plan.
And plus, because of the fact that he's never played English football, you know what I mean. So,
but then remember, we got Guaita under the same circumstances. So you know, he was out of contract. He never had really done anything. Came into the squad, got his chance, and then here we are.
I mean, we were looking, and I think at the time, you know, we were looking for a really, really solid shot stopper, and that's definitely what Guaita was at the time. But now, if we're looking to play differently with more, and once again, falls to the manager. If we're looking to play a more possession-based style, playing out the back, which a lot want to, then the demand changes for your keeper. You know, so if somebody like Soria, if that's not his characteristic, then maybe that's not the move. I don't know. I mean, I haven't really watched Mamardashvili play, so I don't know what his abilities really encompass. So possibly, but like we've been saying, you know, a lot boils down to who ends up taking over. But we want to get to the last thing before we gotta get out of here. So, and this is actually for news from our Crystal Palace women's team. So the Crystal Palace women's team have appointed Grace Williams as the club's new head of women's football. Williams herself joins us from Bristol City, where she served as a general manager, restructuring the footballing operation after relegation in 2021 and going on to secure promotion to the Women's Super League this season. Wow. And winning the championship title in the process. So big news for our women's team with the hiring of Grace Williams.
Yeah, there's definitely been a lot of promotion out of the club in terms of pushing the women's team. And I know their attendances and everything have been going up quite a lot recently. I'm quite privileged because they play at Hayes Lane, which is not a zillion miles away from where I work or live. And the fact that we've got somebody that knows how to win, that's going to be a very, very important star, because I understand she's had relegations and she's had promotions as well with Bristol. I know she's worked at Watford in the past as well. She's got a decent name in the setup. What I'd like to see is a least turnover of women's players in the team, because it seems that every year there's
always a big turnover.
There's like a 10 new, and then they do the little introduction videos, and I'm like, oh, you're different from last year. You're different, and then you go back to it, and it's like, what? Because I remember the semi-final last season, we had the women's team at Box Park at Wembley. And they all came on a stage and, you know, did their thing, pushed themselves a little bit. I was a little drunk, so do forgive me. But just a little bit. You know, you gotta get ready for the game, for you gotta get ready for the game. You know how it goes.
Little saucy.
Source FC, mate. Source FC, more meanings than one. But then, with that being said, I don't think any of those players are still with the squad, barring two of them. So, mate, I would like to see some sort of consistency there. I understand in women's football, you have to chase the bag. You know, you don't get the guaranteed 5 years, 50 grand a week. I understand that it's not the same. But I'd like to see somebody that can just go in there, stable the ship, get these girls going and push up the table, because I know their form's been quite indifferent. And I know there's been a lot of the time where they've kind of looked close to getting that promotion picture and then it kind of just fails off a little bit. And I don't think, you know, when you don't have the team, chemistry, or cohesion, you're not going to get that turning over players every 12 months, every 9 months. It's just not going to work. So, you know, good luck to the ladies, man. And I will definitely be popping in for a couple games.
It seems like what the women are trying to do is they're really looking to take the team to a new level, like take the program, the women's team to a new level. You don't go out and really, sign someone of this caliber, Grace Williams, with this type of CV, and without wanting to really make some changes. You know what I mean? I think what they're looking to do is they are looking to step up their level with our women's team and push on because they want that promotion to the highest level of women of the women's game
Yeah, the
in
Super League.
England. They want to push up to that. So what do? You go in and you go out and you get people that have significant experience with making that jump. You know what I mean? And for us as Crystal Palace fans, I think with that stability that they want with the team, they probably want the team to be more endeared by our fans.
True.
It's hard. It's going to be hard for you to really get your fans to cling to the team and endear the players if they're new every year.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like you can't really latch on to a player or be able to say, hey, this is my favorite player, this, that, and the other. Or, people aren't going to want to go out and buy the kit with somebody's name and number on it if that person leaves every single year, if it changes every single year. You know what I mean?
Facts.
So I think it's probably a move towards stability for the team, for the club, and hopefully a step in the right direction for them. So hats off to them for making a very significant hire, and hopefully Grace Williams takes them to another level. But
And incidentally, while we're on the subject of women,
Mhm.
I did vote for one of the ladies to get goal of the season, by the way. Not that
Oh.
should influence your decision. Channeling.
Not that it
But yeah,
should.
it was good, man. It was good. It was good. It was good,
Yeah.
man.
So that's about going to wrap it up for us today, man. Want to say thank you to all you all that tuned in, that got in the chat, that made sure you shares your thoughts and opinions with us. We appreciate you all taking your time to tune in each time we go live for these Palace News segments. So looking forward to the next one. We'll definitely keep you all up on when that's going to happen as things develop and unfold. But I want to say thank you from myself, from AJ, from Back of the Nest. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe down below. And as always, up to Palace.
Of the Palace, baby.